Hey, this is Dan here from Rune Silk, and I'm joined by one other, and that's none other than Damo for show. And this is the Beardmail podcast. So sit back, listen, and enjoy.
It's the Beardmail podcast. Hello, Dan.
Hello, Damo for show. One other than none other than my brother.
That's me. Welcome to the Beardmail podcast. It's me, Damien Reese, and him, Daniel Jones. Today, I'm going to get it in quick. The hook is, the thing we're talking about is, if you want to find out, listen, learn, and talk about alcohol, then this is the place to be. We're talking about alcohol today, Dan. Touchy subject.
Yeah, we are.
Alcohol.
Can be for some.
Can be. Well, this is born from, I asked a little question in our Beardmail Facebook group, and some of the answers surprised me. And also, I've been on a bit of a journey of late. I actually haven't had any alcohol for a whole month. And I know that you had a bit of a hangover this weekend. So I thought it would be great for us to have a conversation about the pros and cons, what the government recommends, what we should be drinking, any crazy, great times and great stories, or conversely, any terrible stories. And then maybe at the end, we'll decide, should I stay abstinent or should I get on it like a car bonnet? What do you think, Dan?
I think it depends on circumstances. I have a love-hate relationship with alcohol. Sometimes I drink more than I should, and sometimes I don't drink at all. I haven't had a month off, though, since I did the Run the Month back in January, so I'm probably due another break. Although lately I haven't been drinking much, but yes, you alluded to me being hungover on Saturday. I did drink more than I should have on Friday night. But I think it was because, at my own schoolboy area, we arrived at an event and we didn't get power to the trailer until Friday morning. So I didn't have a beer on the Thursday because I don't like drinking more beer. So when we got power and I could put the beers in the fridge, and because everyone else had a few beers on the Thursday and I really didn't, I thought, well, I'm going to start at 6
in the morning.
No, in the PM. And I didn't even realize I drank that much until I looked in the fridge and I was like, oh shit, there's most of my beers that I bought gone. And it did lead to me not drinking at all, really, Saturday, Sunday. I did try and drink a beer on the Saturday night, and I was like, oh, that's just not sitting on my belly at all. Like I thought maybe it's that beer. So I had a couple of sips of that beer, and I was like, I don't like that beer. And I cracked another one. I was like, no, I don't like that either. I think I just can't drink today. But cheeky story in the mix, straight up bow. It was good that I didn't drink because I got to escort Trevor Nelson off the festival site. Woo.
Nice.
Yeah. Met Trevor Nelson on Saturday.
When you say escort him off, like what? Like were you being a bouncer or were you fest taxiing?
He was kicking off being a right knob. So I was no. So he got a vehicle escort onto the site because the site's quite big. He got an escort, so he came in his car and followed a car in, but they couldn't get hold of the guy that escorted him in, and he came off set, and I was sitting backstage just chilling, and literally finished his DJ set, came straight over to us, and he was talking. A really nice guy, actually. He was talking. He was like, oh, I really enjoyed that set. I was like, yeah, it's nice, man. Nice little collection, nice little selection of different types of tunes, from funk to garage to hip hop. It was quite a nice little selection. And he said, how do we get out? How do I get out of here? And I was like, I'm not going to lie to you, it's a bit of a cock of a sight to get off, and it's 1 a.m. Let me go and find someone from the staff, someone of the festival staff, and see what we can do. I found the event manager and they were like, I don't know what to do. Don't know where this guy is. And I just said, well, look, I said, I haven't been drinking. We'll just take him. We'll escort him off in one of our fest taxi buggies. And she was like, would you? And I was like, absolutely. Let's go. Come on, Mr. Nelson. Follow us.
Superb. So while you're derailing my cracking thread and podcast topic of alcohol, do you want to talk about food or festivals or anything else that you just want to, just ruin the whole thing for me?
As festival food goes, it was probably the worst one for me. I lived on nothing but ham and cheese sandwiches pretty much until Sunday when I had a jacket potato. So in terms of food, we haven't really got anything exciting to say. Apart from there was a barbecue on Saturday. Good.
Let's get back on the booze conversation then, right? Because I was going to ask you two very poignant questions because you mentioned it twice. The very words came out of your mouth. You said, I probably drank more than I should have. Let's not talk about whether you should have said should have or should have. But what is the guidelines? What do you think you had more than you should have? Should have. Who knows?
Well, the government doesn't encourage binge drinking anyway, do they? They're supposed to have 1.5 units a day. If that.
I'm asking you the very question. Is that what you think it is?
I think it is 1.5 units for a man, isn't it?
I think it's 14 units for a man over a week. Is that right?
2 units a day, yeah.
So that's like 7 beers over a whole week. Is that right? Low beers.
Depends what you're drinking. Like you like a nice Coors Light, don't you? I think they're 1.5 units per bottle. So that's like literally 1 and a bit bottle a day.
Yeah, imagine just having 1 bottle of Coors and then not having another one. That's ridiculous. So interestingly, and it is obviously they say it's less for women, and obviously it's 2022, so they must be talking biological, and they must be based on how biologically a woman processes the alcohol through their system or something. I don't even know, but they come up with these silly ideas that you should only have 14 units. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure some bottles of wine have got like 12 units in or something. So if you have a bottle of wine, that's nearly a week's worth in one go. Now, before I've just had this month off, I could quite happily polish off a bottle of wine and a few beers and not even be drunk. And what's interesting is when I did a bit of research and study, because many moons ago, I used to be a drug and alcohol worker. So I used to work with people that were physically dependent on alcohol, and they needed actual physical medication to help them come off, because it's not safe to just knock it on the head if you are physically dependent. And also, while we're here, actually, we might as well just say to everybody, if you do want to make some changes, if you're thinking about changing the amount of alcohol you drink, make sure you have a look into it and do it properly. Don't just, if you are physically dependent and you just stop, you can actually go into withdrawal, and you can actually have a fit and a seizure, and it can be life-threatening. So please don't do anything silly. Don't go, I was listening to the podcast. Damo's had a month off the booze and he feels great, so I'm going to do that, because different circumstances, different strokes, different folks. That said, it is interesting how often people drink. And I say I've been on this journey, man. I've had a whole month off. And to be honest with you, after the first week, I tell you what was a big win for me is I noticed I lost a lot of weight. And that's we talk about this sometimes. Obviously, you're always banging on about food, and I crept up over what I would consider to be a healthy weight for myself. But I lost a lot of weight very quickly, and it's not necessarily just because of the calorificness of booze, but more so the shit that you eat when you've had a few beers. So cutting out the alcohol has helped me to change my diet. And I think to sleep a little bit better and to feel a little bit healthier and better. So it is all good. But this scared me, right? Because I did a little bit more research. You said, it's about time for you to have a month off. It takes, obviously, you do feel benefits after a week, after 2 weeks, and there's certain things that happen. I'm into a month now where...
So were you about to say, is it 12 weeks?
Well, I didn't realise this because I listened to a little book. I got an audio book. I love an audio book. I got an audio book, and it was... I can't remember what it was called. Something like 10 days detox or something. And he was saying that it can take a whole year of abstinence for your brain to get back to its good self, or to your liver is really good, and after 2 weeks of abstinence your liver can start to regenerate and do some good stuff. I had a bit of a scare probably 2 years ago now, and I had a scan, and they said a bit of fattiness on your liver, and I was like, that shocked me, and I was like, well, shit, okay. And I didn't drink for a while, and then I was like, I'll be all right. But yeah, so after 2 weeks, your liver can start to regenerate, but it can take a year until your brain actually shrinks as you drink alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong. I've had some of the most fantastic experiences of my life whilst having had a few beers or too many beers. I've also had some horrific experiences in my life whilst having a few beers. There's definitely a correlation between good stuff and bad stuff happening. So I'm not knocking it. I'm not like newly abstinent and telling the whole world, alcohol is bad, you should knock it on the head. But I would encourage, certainly men of our age, to have a little think, because the health benefits now is so much more important. So being able to lose weight, I used to have quite a bit of problem with acid reflux and things like that as well. That's stopped since I stopped having alcohol. I've been drinking more water. I feel healthier. But as I said, we asked in the Beardmail group, and it wasn't intentionally for this. It's just become prevalent because of me having been dry for a month. But I couldn't believe how many people were actually completely abstinent. Because if you hang around drinkers and you go to the pub, Anybody that walks in and doesn't drink, it's like, oh, why aren't you drinking? People question it, don't they? Why aren't you having a beer? And you sort of have to justify why you're not having a beer. However, that's if you're in that environment. But it seems that in the bearded community, there are quite a few people that are completely abstinent. So there is support there, and there's other guys. And even when you go to a beard competition, if you're not having a beer, you know there'll be a couple of boys around that you can go and sit and have a lemonade or a tea or a coffee with, and it's not a thing because you're not drinking. But also in our group, there was a lot of guys that said they were drinking 6 or 7 days a week, and I don't know whether they knew that actually that's probably not healthy. Like, do they know? I mean, is it okay to be drinking every day? And how many justification tales do we tell ourselves? Like, for example, when you relayed your story there about getting drunk on Friday. Now, bear in mind, I spoke to you on Saturday and you were hanging like a basket. But on when you recounted your story of Friday, you justified, said, "Wow, what happened was I didn't drink on Thursday, so I was all right to drink on Friday." And it's like, I wonder how many people. Well, I have a drink every day of the week, but it's because I've been stressed at work. And it's interesting the stories we tell ourselves to justify why we are having a drink. When ultimately, this is what Freeman did. But ultimately, the actual alcohol in the delicious beverage is actually a poison on your body,
Toxin. Yeah, no, absolutely, it is a poison. But I think that this is where we're going to be careful of where we take this episode of the podcast, because we could go into addiction, we can go into withdrawal quite easily off this topic. But it's the mind will always find a way to justify the action. It's the same as well, I've worked hard all day, so I deserve to have an unwind and a beer. And I would my wife and I were going through a stage where my wife doesn't drink now. She has probably maybe 4 or 5 drinks a year. That's it. But we used to, every night we would share a couple of craft beers, and she would enjoy trying all these different craft beers with me. So we'd share a can, and we wouldn't realize how much we were drinking, because all we were drinking like 200 ml each from a can, or it might be a 330 ml. So it was only like 175. That's not correct. Anyway. But then we would get to the end of the. I mean, this is just what we were cooking, and then we'd already have like 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 beers in, and we're like, oh, crikey, we've drunk more than we kind of thought we were going to do. And I think it's very easy to just carry on in the moment. And obviously, as you get a little bit more intoxicated, you kind of, I'll have another one, I'll have another one, I'll have another one. Oh, that was nice. This is starting to feel nice now. I start to feel unwind. I'll have another one. But I also think that the health regulations are very misleading, depending on what information they want to give you at the time. Like, they used to say a glass of wine a day is good for your heart and all this sort of stuff. And
antioxidant.
Well, exactly that. You've only got to rewind sort of 50 years when they told you that smoking cigarettes were good for you. So it's an interesting one. And as a counter argument to the glass of wine a day, I can't remember the name of the doctor. It was a podcast I was listening to a long time ago. And he actually said, rather than having a glass of wine a day, it's actually better to have 7 glasses one day a week. Because when you're drinking every single day, your liver doesn't get a break. It's just constantly fighting the toxins every day, working to work with those toxins. So if you have 7 beers on a Friday, 7 glasses of wine on a Friday, and you don't drink until Friday, your liver's had 6 days off to actually just stop and do nothing but recover after dealing with those toxins. So I think there's so many arguments for and against the benefits of alcohol. It's marky science. We're going back. It all falls to marky science, Damo.
Marky science.
And you never know what really to believe, because someone's always got a bit of an agenda when it comes to. So yeah. Just before we move on to your next sentence, what's what you done to your thumb? I saw you got a little bandage.
That is where I was like, there was 20 of them, right? And I was fighting. I was protecting an elderly lady who was disabled, and this gang of people were like trying to smash her up, and they had knives and that. And I just went over, and I caught a little nick on the old thumb there in saving this lady's life. So that's my story.
You get the thumbs up all the time. I'm going
to hide my thumb all the time now. For those of you listening and not watching on YouTube, you're missing out on seeing a dirty old bit of zinc oxide tape. Is one of my closest friends, Dan. You may remember this very tape from Antwerp. Actually, you may remember this shirt from Antwerp. Actually, I'm wearing my Forrest Gump t-shirt. But no, what actually happened was I know we talk about retro and stuff on the podcast from time to time. I was defrosting a freezer in the retro fashion, the old-fashioned way, with a bread knife. Brand new set of knives that I bought from somewhere. They're really, really fucking sharp. And I was just, as you do, just trying to get a bit of the ice off. The ice was like that. And it's bad, man. It's bad. It's been about 4 days. And when I look at it, I'm thinking I still might have to go and get that stitched. But I'll be all right.
Ooh.
I'll be all right.
Yeah, that'll be all right. A little Band-Aid will be fine.
Band-Aid. Yeah. So don't defrost the freezer with a bread knife, kids, and don't use a hairdryer either, because that doesn't work. Just be patient. Be patient is my tip for the day. Be patient when defrosting the icer.
So anyway, when you said retro, I thought you were going to go. I was playing that one of those 100-meter dash games. And I was banging the thumb over the A and B button. I thought you were going to. I thought when you said retro, I thought you were playing games.
No, definitely not. I was being naughty with the bread knife. So yeah, I would suggest, if people are interested in, have a little think to yourself, why do you drink? Do you think you drink too much? Are you happy with how much you drink? And if do you ever catch yourself justifying it? And also, don't think I'm here preaching, because next weekend there's a chance I might be getting hammered on the 2-day bender.
Small chance. And this will go out the week before.
What's happening, Dan? Tell the viewers. What's happening?
So Damo for show and my good self are just gonna tear it up at the London Craft Beer
Festival. Going London.
Going London. We've got a little Airbnb just round corner from Tobacco Dock. Gonna go and try some craft ale beers. We're there for 4 sessions over 2 days. I'm gonna need the week off, not gonna lie, because I haven't been drinking all that much in the last few months. So I'm probably going to be destroyed, because it's all you can drink. So if anyone is in London, or if anyone's got a ticket and is already going to the London Craft Beer Festival, come and find us, because I can't say what we're doing at the moment, just in case anyone from the London Craft Beer Festival listens to the podcast and they then catch our number. We walk through the door and they're like, "You're not doing that today, my friend." But we're going to be there. So if you are, come say hi, come check out, come hang and give out some free samples and stickers.
You've scared me now. What are we doing? I thought we were just going for a Beardmail business meeting.
We are, but we're talking to other people about Beardmail.
Oh, blimey. I genuinely am a little bit fearful on 2 counts. Number 1, I don't like craft ale. Number 2, I haven't had a drink for what will be 5 weeks. So I could be 2 beers, and I could be a cheap date, Dan. It could be 2 beers on the floor.
So there are a lot of options of the 0.5s. And to be honest, if we're going for 4 sessions over 2 days, I'm not going to be hammering a 7.2s. Forget about it. It's going to be the session pails. And every now and then, I'm going to probably go to some of the 0.5 and 0% alcohol set places, because I like the really low stuff. And I've been finding some incredible beers that are 0.5%. So don't worry, we won't be getting completely bollocks, especially not in the day sessions, because if we're there for a day session and then an evening session, if I get pissed by 4 o'clock, I'm not making the evening session. I'm going to bed, staying.
Dan, we're very different, actually, because it's interesting you say about this is 4 sessions. In my mind, this is just 1 session. It's a 2-day bender. And I'm all in. Once I get going, I'm just going, and I'm going, and there's no stopping me, Dan. This happened to me accidentally at the Beard On competition. Quite a few beers. You have a pre-party before a beard competition the night before. Some people have a few scoops. I ended up drinking rum in Jim's room till daft o'clock in the morning with Andy of the Darley, playing cards and marbles. And that wasn't my plan. My plan was to be all fresh and healthy and good for the competition the next day, but I stayed up till 2-3 o'clock or something silly until all the rum had gone. And then I woke up with a terrible hangover and then did it all again the next day. So I think that's a bit about mindset. It's a little bit about addiction. It's a little bit about getting that dopamine kick and, wanting to just keep going and keep going and keep going. And I do that with everything. It's not just beer. I do that with everything. And so it will be an interesting 2 days next week. You mentioned about these 0.5s. Will there be any 1.7s?
Yeah, probably quite a few 1.7s, whoosh, especially because I'll be drinking so much. I'll be going to the toilet quite a lot. There'll be definitely quite a lot of 1.7 action, but it'll be hanging over the urinal. But you say you're not a big fan of craft beers. Although it's called the London Craft Beer Festival, it's mainly filled full of the independent craft brewers. So a lot of people think, I don't like craft beer. But craft beer isn't a type of beer. It's a scene almost. It's just saying it's a small brewery. So you will have some pilsners, you'll have some hellers, you'll have some lagers. There will be IPAs and double IPAs and stouts and that sort of stuff. So that we will find something that you do enjoy. And the great thing about it is that you get a third glass. If you don't like it, there's bins everywhere, like sinks, so you can just go, didn't like that, wash your glass out and go and find another one. So you don't, it's not like you'll buy, because it's all free once you're in there. You literally kind of get a small amount and go, oh, actually, I do like that. Bang. In the worst case scenario, is just have a little something in your phone and go, I like that one. So if you
this is where we're different again. This is where we're different again, Dan, because I would never waste a beer. I'd never be thrown away. Even if I didn't like it, I'd still drink it. Your tale when you were just saying there before your big Trevor Nelson thing. I'll ask you who Trevor Nelson is later because I still don't know. But when you were telling that story, you said, I had one beer and it was like, oh, didn't really. Then I had the second one, I was like, didn't really. That's where I would have been straight in for the third, and the third one would have been delicious, and then there would have been 10 more. Who is Trevor Nelson, mate? I don't want to know. Is he
Trevor Nelson, he was a Radio 1 DJ.
Yeah,
really sort of big in the 90s and sort of the R&B sort of scene. I think
does he still do like BBC Radio and that now? Was he ever on radio, like Radio Extra or One or Radio something like that? Trevor Nelson.
I don't know what he does anymore.
What's he look like?
Black.
Yeah, I know the guy.
Skinny, tall, kind of. What does he look like? He looks like a bald-headed guy. He looks like that.
Yeah, I do know. That's Chris Akabuki, isn't it? You didn't ask him about Chris Akabuki.
So he's an MBE, an English DJ, 58 years from Hackney. Previous shows, he used to be on Kiss FM, BBC Radio 1. Where is Trevor Nelson now?
He's in a festival with Dan. If he's 58, mate, he is looking well for 58.
Yeah. So he's mainly a DJ now. So I think he BBC Radio Extra he's on now. 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. Not bad,
Dan,
is it?
That guy is mega famous, and you were hanging out with him last weekend. Come on.
Yeah, man. That's how I roll. This guy works 6 hours a week and does a few DJ sets. Oh no, hang on. He's also on Radio 2 between 10 and midnight, Monday to Thursday. So he does 16 hours a week. Justifies the universal tax credits. Tick. Yeah.
To be fair though, there's unsociable hours. Got to work from 10 till 12 at night. Let's go back to talking.
His set was 11:30 till 1 at Bug Jam. So
there you go.
Yeah, it is. I'm sure he got paid like 10 grand or something for an hour and a half slot.
Oh, unsociable hours and getting paid pittance. I mean, who gets out of bed for that?
Do you know what I mean? So no sympathy there.
You know what I mean?
Back to beer. Back to
the booze. So yeah, the beer craft festival. That's interesting. I didn't realise that it was. I literally thought it'd be loads of old man ales and anything that's really hopsy in that. My tummy doesn't agree with. So I'm keen to find perhaps a Wetherspoons local. With Bud Light and Coors. That'd be delicious.
No, so it's actually quite a trendy event. It's quite a young event. I say young, I mean sort of our age. I wouldn't say that. Yeah, sort of. There's a lot of beards there.
Good, we'll be there.
That's why I like to go. But I mean, just for those who do like their craft beers, I mean, while you talk about something, I'll try and find some of the amazing breweries who I'm looking for.
Well, I'm going to ask you where actually is it? Because
Tobacco Dock in London.
A what dock?
The Tobacco Dock.
The Tobacco Dock. So what's the arena for these beers? Are they like set up like exhibition stalls, or are they an independent, or in a pub, or like is it like a Camden Market Town thing?
Do you know what?
I don't do London much.
It was not what I expected. I was really worried, right? When I first went, I was really worried that there's going to be like a bar or a couple of bars with all these different beers behind it, and I'm only going to get like 4 or 5 beers in the session because I'm going to be queuing the whole time. But it's loads of individual stations for the brewery. So every brewery has like their own little station with like sort of 6 or 7 taps on it. Yeah. So there's some of the bigger ones tend to have a small queue, maybe like 5 or 6, 7. But some of them don't have big brews. Big brews. Sorry,
I love big brews. I love big brews. Great big brews.
There's a brewery here called Canna Brew. So I'm guessing that's going to be some kind of CBD beer. Interesting.
Do you know what?
Numbers.
Hang on a minute, quickly, because I've got a mate who's in the biz. He's got a few shares in them. Brewdog. Do you remember when they sold shares?
Yeah, I'm a shareholder in Brewdog.
Yeah, and this is another mate. I've got more than just one. And he was really, really quite poignant. He's quite a clever, interesting chap. He was slagging off their beers, even though he's got shares in them, because they've done a CBD beer, a caffeine beer, and a something else beer. And it was all about, or his post was all about how, you can't get stimulated and energy from alcohol because it's a depressant. And that was, because of the caffeine and mixing it. And then because of the CBD about being relaxed, it's like, you're not ever really going to be relaxed with alcohol because it's a fake sense of relaxation because of the drug. And basically, because Brewdog were mixing these other chemicals, caffeine, CBD, and there was something else, I can't remember what the other one was. I think it was, they were trying to suggest that if you have the focus one, it's caffeine in it, so you'll be more focused. It's like, yeah, but it's alcohol and it's
I'm having a beer. I'm not looking to have a beer. I'm not looking to get focused.
So they were blurring the lines a little bit, marky science. And he was knocking it. I sort of agreed with that, to be fair. But it will be interesting to
Brewdog's a funny one, and you won't see Brewdog at this event because Brewdog are no longer really considered as craft beer independent. They're an independent brewery, but they're massive. They're no longer sort of they're no longer your sort of indie sort of small batch. So I don't think I've ever seen Brewdog's name on any of these. Just to see it now.
Will Hook Norton Brewery be there?
Hook Norton.
They're quite a biggie because they're near me actually, not far away. And
I'll run through a couple of them that I'm looking forward to in particular. Big Drop do nice leather low alcohol ones. You've got Daya. Daya released some amazing beers. Howling Hops, Colonel, Lervig are amazing. Neon Raptors, a really nice brand.
Neon Raptors.
Yeah, Neon Raptor. North Brewing, Northern Monk. Yes,
made me think of a Velociraptor with a high vis neon vest on.
They're all they are very bright and luminous labelling. Pastore, if you like your Weiss beers, do you like your Belgians?
I don't mind a little bit of Weiss, Dan, I don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
Hang on, let's talk Belgian beer. I've been to Belgium. I went with my mum and her fella at the time, and he was into the Belgian beers. We went around some actual breweries that monks were still making beers, and they have been for 5 million years or something.
Was that Trappist stuff?
That sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, Trappist is usually made by monks.
Banging on about they like to leffe over there. This is the thing that my mum and him were very into the. I think he went to the festival actually. Very into the ales, and he always used to knock me because I was more of a Carling and Coors kind of guy. You're going to open my eyes, Dan. I tell you what, I'm scared of though. I'm not even scared of the beers, mate. I'm scared about
the enjoying it.
No, I'm scared of the attire. You say it's a young, cool, trendy crowd with beards and that. Do I have to dress up? Do I need to go shopping?
No, man. Last night, I probably wore this shirt.
I bet you're going to be wearing that shirt for the next 3 or 4 podcasts.
I reckon.
I'll put money on it.
The thing is, just dress up as we want to dress up. I mean, we've got to be a little bit incognito, so we can't exactly go in the big post boxes and really just run around. Although it would be quite funny. I just don't want to get kicked out too early because last year I gave a free sample to the event organizer and he was like, "Have you ever thought of doing this, through the right channels?" I was like, "What do you mean?" Because I gave him a beard oil sample and I was like, "Hey, you should try this beard oil. You've got a wicked beard." He was like, "Oh, I'm the event manager," and I was like, "Boop, boop, 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 boop." I was like, "If I got to pay $3,000 for a stand, I just want to turn up, pay 200 quid, drink my ass out, and then that sounded wrong. Anyway,
that sounded massively wrong. I don't want to go anymore.
Drink my ass off. I don't know.
Drink beers.
Just drink beers and stuff, and just talk to bearded folk. I don't want to sell anyone anything. I'm here to
enjoy.
Give extra bonus benefits to your event.
I'm confused. Just quickly, Dan. Have we got separate beds? Oh, for God's sake! I've been stitched up here big time, aren't I?
You're on the couch, mate. I noticed they've got this little 2-seater couch, that you can just sort of dangle your legs over. No, it's a twin room, so it's the same room, but it's a twin room.
Oh, thank God for that. I once went to it was the beard competition in Devon and Cornwall and I sorted the rooms out for 3 of us, and we got there, and there was only 2 beds, and I'm like, oh, it was supposed to be a triple room, but it was.
It was a triple room. Just expected it to be a couple and
No,
child, right?
No, I said to him, in the picture, there was 3 separate beds in this room. And then when we got there, it was a double bed and a sofa that had been laid out. It wasn't even a chance. Look, literally, I slept on the floor.
I was going to say, it was not like a rock, paper, scissors type vibe to see who has to share a bed.
Because it was my mistake. I took the hit and I let the older gentlemen I was with, Paddy and Smithy, they're pretty old. I let them, in fact, I think they might be. I don't know how old Paddy is actually. Smithy's definitely older than me. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, there we go, Dan. So yeah, we started off talking about booze, and honestly, I feel much better, and I feel great for having lost a little bit of weight. And I see why people are abstinent. I just thought what was interesting in our Beardmail group is that a lot of people were either completely not having any beers, or having too many beers, what I'd consider too many beers. So maybe it's just a bearded man thing. We're all in or all out. I'm definitely all in or all out. I don't very often do anything in moderation.
See, I'm not. So I'll go on a binge and then I won't drink, and then I'll go on a binge and I won't drink, and then I'll have it where maybe a couple of nights on the trot I'll have 2 or 3 beers, and then 2 weeks I won't have a beer at all. So I'm sorry.
Well, that's also in or out, isn't it? In or out. Have you got any really funny stories or any horrendous stories about being drunk?
No, not really horrendous stories. Like, there's a few things I can no longer drink now, which was one of the different reasons why it made that whiskey tasting session on your thing difficult. Yeah, I can't talk too much about it, but
Damo's Beardy Fun Club.
Damo's Beardy Fun Club. And if for those of you who are listening, if you're not a member of Damo's Beardy Fun Club, you bloody well should be, because it's a great entertainment. It's great value for money. It's like, what is it now? Like $4.99 a month?
$4.97, mate. Let's just say
$4.97 a month, and you get just join. I'm a member. I can't drink whiskey because when I was 14, me and 3 mates, we smashed a litre of bottle of Bell's, and no matter what people say, oh, it's a single malt. Bell's isn't even whiskey. This is a really nice Japanese single wicked aroma of cherry pasties, and I just like, no, it just tastes like whiskey. Like, doesn't matter whether it's £1,700 a bottle, it's going to make me feel sick. And then there was a time when I used to drink Jack Daniels. I used to really like Jack Daniels, and then we went out for a night out, works do. I was so drunk, like I was like that, like. Oh. And my mate Drew was like, "Can I get you another drink?" And I was like, "No, I probably shouldn't have anything more to drink." He was like, "I'll tell you, what about just a single Jack Daniels?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll go on there. I'll have a single then." So we did that about 7 times, and I threw up from 6 a.m. till 6 p.m. like literally every hour on the trot. I was throwing up all day. Got to work on the Monday. I was like, "Mate, you destroyed me. What the hell was that?" He was like, "Yeah, I was just getting you doubles in a singles glass, mate." And I was like, "Yeah, cheers for that." I was like, "And I can't even look at JD. I smell it. I can't. I just ruined it. I can't." So there's a few drinks like that from hitting it too hard, like not even like taking binge to next level where you're paralytic, and throwing up heavily. Most things that I've thrown up on for 12 hours, I can no longer drink. Brain just goes, not having that.
Good. That's your brain's defense mechanism protecting you. Also, you shouldn't be friends with Drew anymore, because that's absolutely disgusting. Spending extra money on you, getting you doubles when you're only wanting singles. Also, what I thought was quite interesting in that story is that you said, "Oh no, I probably shouldn't have any more to drink." I don't think I've ever said that ever in my life. That's the trouble. I just keep going until I fall asleep. And you say fall asleep, Demo. You passed out, didn't you? I did pass. I passed out in the pub once, and I think I died. But it was quite funny. This was back in the day when we used to go to this one pub and got on really well with everybody. I was the darts captain. My best mate was the pool captain. And we used to go in there for the weekends, a bit of Friday, Saturday, and even Sundays. And the landlady had been on holiday and brought out this tequila with a worm in the bottom. Oh no, it's a scorpion. There's something ridiculous and crunchy in the bottom of this. Does that sound right, or was I really drunk?
There's usually a worm in the bottom. I've never done it.
I know. I'm sure this was some sort of horrendous scorpion drink or something. And I had some of it, and I literally passed out there and then in one of the stalls at a high stall like this. And And she was a bit concerned. She's like, "Oh God, what should we do? What should we do?" This is what they recount the story to me, because obviously I was asleep, and my best mate was like, "Nah, he's all right. He's like that all the time." But I genuinely think I'd actually died. But he's like, "Nah, he's all right." And then
No, I usually know when's a good time to stop.
No, I don't.
But then I'm usually quite a good drunk as well. My missus hates it. Like when we used to go out, she'd say, I wouldn't even know if you were drunk most time. I'd be balls. I'd have had like 12 pints, and she's just like, I couldn't even tell if you were drunk. I mean, so much so that when I was young, I did manage to convince the police officer that pulled me over that I'd only ever had one pint that night.
Damn. You sound like
First time.
All men from the 80s that were driving around and it was okay to drink drive. Don't drink and drive.
It was the 90s, and no, I wouldn't recommend it. And it was only I was sort of really young and naive at the time. I think I wasn't not long after driving. I was probably still 17 and probably shouldn't have been drinking in the first place. It was a stupid move, and I was very lucky, and I won't do it again, officer. I
had the first bump in my car, and I still, to this day, put it down to alcohol, even though I only had one can. I genuinely don't think I would have done what I did had I not had one can of lager. So, and then since then, I'd never drank and drove.
No, I don't. I won't even drink. If I'm driving now, I won't even have like one, because I just think, what's the point? There's no point having. There's no point
unless you're going to have.
Well, that's it. So, like when we went to Beardmail, when we came to find you at the pub, like I was drinking non-alcoholic beers all night because I was like, well, I'm driving. I could have one, but then I'm going to want two because everyone else is drinking. And then I'm going to want three because everyone else is drinking. And by that point, I'm on everyone else's wavelength, but I'm a couple of steps behind. So I'm going to need like a shot or something.
Yeah.
And then I've got to figure out how to get the car home. And my missus didn't really like driving the car at night then. She's loving it now. But
it's interesting, actually, because I usually have beers at events, and then more recently I've not had a drink. Like, so we went to Opie's competition and I didn't drink, and it was so different seeing everybody drunk when you're not drunk. And it's like, well, normally I'm like that and I'm drunk. I wonder how it's like for other people. Like Wayne Alexander, he goes to a lot of the comps from Home of the Beer Days. Big shout out to Big Wayne, and he doesn't drink, so he must.
He's teetotal, isn't he? Like completely teetotal, isn't he?
Yeah, it must be quite a interesting to see what it's like to every time, because sometimes I'm really drunk, sometimes I'm sober. So yeah, that was the first one, and I think there's a couple of competitions coming up this year where I think I might not have beers because I'm just going to enjoy the chatter and not having a hangover. So we shall see.
Well, I won't be drinking on the day of TBBMC because I'll be working.
But the pre-party is going to be massive. Pre-party for BBM, TBBMC.
The Friday night I'll be drunk.
You go.
Yeah. We've already. I think we've booked the accommodation for the Friday night, so we'll probably go home on the Saturday.
Got you.
So we've just got a little Airbnb somewhere in Rugby, not far from the venue. So yeah, I think we'll do the drinking on the Friday, and then I'm strictly business on the Saturday.
I know this is a bit of an aside, but it's not really because it is alcohol related. What time will you be in Rugby on the Friday of the British Beard and Moustache Championships 2022?
What time does it all kick off?
The pre-party is at 7:00 at the Merchants Inn.
So I'll probably be there about 10 to 7.
Because there's a pre-party on the down.
I see. Yeah, isn't it like 7:50, 6:57?
No, there's a DBFC one that's earlier.
Is it somewhere else?
I'll talk to you outside of the podcast.
Slide into my DMs. Slide into my DMs.
Outside of the podcast. Is there anything else? We went a little bit over, but there's loads to talk about. I mean, we spoke on an earlier episode about addiction in general, and we touched on alcohol, but we didn't go into it in great depth. So I guess I should just throw in for safety reasons, if anybody is struggling or wants any help or anything, there are professional agencies to go to, but your GP is not a bad place to start for a beginning. There's loads of stuff online as well. There's audio books, there's books, but even just on the NHS, I think generally the country would benefit from people cutting down on the booze a little bit, because the health reasons are massive. But if you genuinely are getting to the point where you're thinking, am I drinking too much, and you want to make some changes, then there is lots of help out there. So go and get some professional help, and it doesn't hurt to shout out. But there's loads. I did actually, the longest time I didn't have a drink for was a couple of years ago, and I did a challenge, a 3-month challenge, and I went 3 months without drinking. and that was probably the fittest and healthiest I'd ever been. But we shall see. A big shout out to all those guys that are abstinent and do manage, to a couple of guys, been sober for years and years and years. I genuinely think I'm going to give it a good stab. Sometime at some point, I'm going to try and do 3 months, then do 6 months, then do a year. And I think the older I get, the less I need to go and get absolutely hammered like I did in the olden days. Maybe it's a sign of my maturity and my spiritual awakening into the world, Dan.
Oh shit! Quick question before we leave: is this considered as off the top lip?
What off the top lip? Your moustache?
Moustache. Yeah. Because it's.
Well, let me make you bigger. For those of you that are listening on Spotify, I apologise, but Dan is just getting right close. Look at that. Yeah, that's off your top lip.
Obviously, we'll get these bits tidied up. Because I'm a bit concerned because the category is like has to be impeccably off the top lip, and I've spent ages growing a long tash. I'm like, I don't want to be penalised for having like a couple of stragglers. So I'm gonna have to be really.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Half my beard.
I'm sure
losing half my beard, ladies and gentlemen. Losing a hand's worth. But I'm going to keep the tash.
We ought to do another podcast actually, or we'll do some live stuff when we're at the BBMC. It's all happening. So for us now, it's a really busy time for beard mailers and for gents and ladies as well involved in the beardy community. If you want to get amongst any events, there's the British Championships in August. There is the Oxford Beard Festival in September, and there is Beard On in October. Derbyshire. So that's 3 competitions actually in the space of about 6 weeks. And obviously we're going to the Craft Beer Festival next week. So there's a lot going on in the beardy world, lots of opportunities for drinking, for meeting, for partying. There's a huge pizza party in Derby, secret location, Banksy's. If you're in the beardy world, keep your eye out for that. That's the day after the British Beard and Moustache Championship. So if I'm not hungover, I might reward myself with some pizza in Derby. But anyway, that's enough shouting out about stuff. It's 42 minutes, Dan. We've got to go.
Wait. Lord of mercy.
I'm glad we nearly missed the ASMR moment, didn't we? Was that the ASMR moment?
I don't know. I mean, I'm just going to go. We failed,
absolutely.
So I'm to improvise now, and that was awful.
Absolute quality broadcasting. For those of you again that were listening and couldn't see that, Dan was just flopping the tinkle. Kevin onto the mic.
Now I'm just making up for lost time.
Dan's just eating food noisily. Dan, we're all done. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening, guys. Take care.
See you in a bit. Bye for now.